Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll Monday, January 10th. Big game in college football. NFL Week 18 complete. Playoffs. I tell you what, the NFL, as you know, I have said forever, is any given Sunday. And obviously, yesterday was no different, as I think the Colts were all set to plan a home game. And they sure did. They're planning a home game called golf and a winter off. As they get bounced by Jacksonville. And it's kind of a good leading for me because some teams just have your number. And the Colts can't win in Jacksonville, just like the Patriots have always, not just yesterday, for 2 decades, have had a problem in December in South Beach. And tonight, Kirby Smart and Georgia, the number 1 team all year till the SEC final game, will get a rematch with Nick Saban and Alabama. And you know, this game, I want to say, is pros versus Joes. I want to say, listen, guys, they did not show their whole hand. The much must-win team was Bama. Winning in. Georgia was already in. And I'm going to talk to my co-host, Scott, in 1 second, but I just wanted to vent for 1 second. And basically what I'm trying to say here is when anyone sees Bama as an underdog, never mind plus money on the money line, it's a free bingo square. And so if you go on the social media right now, everyone's got their chest out. They got Bama +3, and they got him Mattress Mac +125, +115. He's probably 3, 4, 5 million deep into this game. And I get it. We'll be hearing a lot of who's your daddy if Bama rolls tonight. Almost like Jim Harbaugh in Michigan versus Ohio State. I see all of this. But when you break down the numbers, you break down the opening line. Yes, Georgia was favored by 6.5 in the first game. Yes, they only opened up at 1.5. Yes, they are up to 3. But if you really break down this game, it is a pros versus Joes. And listen, the sharp guys are jumping on the plus money on Bama. And I can guarantee you this, they got their finger on the trigger in the in-game live, especially if they got a chance to get a middle here and get Georgia on the other side. And a quick shout-out, Dougie Rogers, North Carolina. Thank you. A little Johnny B's, pizza pad and water and hole. Doug, with the family here, great friend from North Carolina. Come by, say hi. Come say, swing by for a pizza and a brouhaha. Enough from me. Without further ado, the man from Tampa, where it is probably about 70 plus degrees warmer than it is here today in sunny Cape Cod. My co-host, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Scotty, my brother, what is happening?
Good afternoon, Jeff. And I don't want to beleaguer all this, but it's pretty warm down here right now.
Well, tomorrow we will be in the 10 to 15, 18 degree range with wind chills below 0 or at 0. So I'll be thinking real hard of you. Trust me.
Yeah, I got a spare bedroom, man. It's like a hotel room for my guests. They come down, they got a little refrigerator in there and a TV, and just hang out. And holy crap, you got a room to anytime you want.
Well, I might be down there sooner than later and take you up on that. We'll talk later on that one, hopefully for some spring training baseball games, actually. But yesterday, I really thought the Niners were going to find a way to win, and obviously eating crow at 17-0. Big field goal right before the half. And then get the first score in the third quarter to make it a game 17-10. Nice tie, nice take the lead. And then, of course, that pick by Jimmy G, I was cursing. A chance to at least get 3. You can't make that throw. Hell of an interception by Jalen. And then they go on to win in overtime. Pats lay an egg in South Beach. Obviously, the Colts laid an egg. We have playoff matchups. And I'll just say this: that game last night between the Raiders and the Chargers, you would think Hollywood was scripting this as it could go. Everyone's rooting for the tie. Everyone's rooting for overtime first, and Chargers down 15. I think they had that 19 play drive in a minute or 2 minutes. I think they had probably 5 or 6 fourth downs, and they weren't just 4th and 1, 4th and 2. They're 4th and 8, 4th and 9, 4th and 10, and Herbert kept getting them. And hell of a game. Just and now the talk is the timeout. Obviously, if Staley doesn't call the timeout, then the Chargers are just, the Raiders are just going to run the game out and both teams tie. Both teams go into the playoffs. Overall, thoughts on yesterday, Scotty?
Well, I actually thought that I wasn't going to like yesterday, and I thought it was going to be one of those games that days that, we got bad football. And I should say we got bad football in several games yesterday. But that being said, we didn't get bad football. We had fun yesterday. I thought that was a fun day. It was an interesting day. I thought the games that mattered, they played like it mattered. And the games came down to the wire in both games. That Raider game went into overtime. The Pittsburgh game went into overtime. No, it didn't go into overtime, but that game went into overtime too, right? The Pittsburgh game, and the San Francisco game went into overtime. So those were all the games that really mattered, and they all went into overtime. And it was all interesting. I kept watching that Colts game, thinking, God, don't they look like the Chargers? But it is what it is. These teams are unbelievable on how certain things happen, and you as a coach need to keep your team from being in those spots. You just need to find a way to, Carson Wentz didn't have it, so you got to figure out how do we make this happen. It is the Jaguars, for God's sakes.
Yeah, Taylor got shuffled, and defense for the Jaguars played great. And again, it's one of those. The league is driven by quarterbacks. Let's be realistic here. If you look at the teams in the playoffs, I'll even just say the Pittsburgh Steelers with Big Ben. 18 years in the league. He's got some rings. Not that he can throw the ball far anymore, but the fact of the matter is it's a new generation of quarterbacks. Tom at 44/45, Rodgers at 37. Then you got the young guns. You got the Mahomes of the world. You got the Kyler Murrays of the world, the Dak Prescotts, the Josh Allens. It would have been nice to see Herbert in there. Obviously, he's one of the next generational quarterbacks as well. But Joe Burrow, I didn't even mention Joe Burrow. But the point of the matter is coaching quarterbacks coaching. That's where it all starts. And I've said now for a week, 10 days, I haven't given out any predictions. I haven't released, anything yet. I have said, though, Packers by default in the NFC. Now, my preseason pick was the Niners, okay? They opened up 3-point dogs at Dallas. It quickly went to 2.5, I saw in some spots. I think they're better built to go in and give Rodgers and the Packers a better game than I think if Dallas limped in there, with Dak in their offense, unless you want a 50-45 shootout. And in the AFC, Titans get the week off. Henry should be ready. How good he will be and effective, I don't know. I think it's coming back real quick. I think the Chiefs are sitting pretty good. And I think, again, Buffalo is a dangerous team because if the Titans falter, they've gone to Arrowhead before and battled last year for that championship game. Quick thoughts on the brackets, and you see anything that might stick out to you? Maybe just not to dive into a game singularly, but just overall at the brackets.
No, I think that the way this thing's going to kind of play out is after this week, looking at the numbers and how everything came out, all the home teams are favored, and they should be. They're all that way. You said Kansas City. Kansas City's got a pretty good spot. Holy shit, they're 13-point favorites. Holy crap.
Opened at 11.5, by the way.
it's one of those spots where you just got to start looking at stuff. I'm really interested to see how this Bengals Raiders game goes, just because I think you got two gritty teams out there playing, and you got two quarterbacks that have willed their teams to win these games. And then you got to look at who the head coaches are, and like the Raiders don't have one. So what the hell is going on there? I mean, it's like that Derek Carr kid is just willing that team to go forward. And I'm interested to see what Arizona and the Rams do, just because I can't figure out these two teams, and I can't figure out if they're any good or not. I at the beginning of the year, we were all in on the as Arizona as being one of the best teams in the league, and holy shit, now they can't beat the Seahawks. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on with these teams, and they gave up 30 points, and that was at least I won 2 games yesterday. I won 2 and lost 2. That I lost that game as an underplay. I mean, shit, I can't play these damn unders right now. So, but anyway, that was interesting, and the Green Bay Packers yesterday set up perfect for what I was planning on and what I thought was going to happen, and then they went out and didn't play very well, and we're behind, I think, by missing that extra point at halftime or something. So it's just weird how the NFL works and what happens, and I couldn't figure out watching these games, like the Lions and the Jaguars are both competing for the number 1 pick in the draft, and hell, they went out and won both games. What the hell's the matter with these teams? So I just thought to myself, I guess they want to look good, or they want to think good, or whatever. And then some of the things that happened today. The head coach at Miami got fired, and I thought he was doing a pretty good job there, kind of rebuilding that team and doing stuff, especially with a quarterback who, I don't know, I'm not sold on Tua. He built a pretty good defense there, and they got off to a bad start, but they played pretty well down the stretch, won lots of games in a row to get to where they did. So I was surprised at that. And I'm surprised at the stuff I'm seeing on Joe Judge, that he's going to stick around. I mean, what the hell? This is a team that all but gave up everything. So, you can't keep the locker room. They got to go. So I don't understand some of the stuff that's happening, but I'm not paid to understand that. I'm just paid to make the bet. So.
Well, I'm going to pull up our screen for today. We'll use our friends at wagertalk.com free odds, and you can pull up the same page. I'm going to just circle back for a quick second on the Dolphins. This makes 0.0 sense here because of the fact that Watson potentially was only coming to Miami because of Flores. That's number 1. Number 2, their horrid start, how they finished, and the fact that you were 2-0 against Belichick. Okay, listen, I know Buffalo won the East back-to-back years, but you always want looking towards an organization that has a long blueprint and resume. And for the past 2 decades plus, the Patriots are the team that you want to model, and are the team that you, especially in your division, need to beat. And you just beat them twice. And it just makes they're talking about the owner. An absentee owner. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that's going on. Brian Flores will be picked up in 2 seconds. I'd love to have him back here in New England, to be honest with you. Now, whether he takes a lateral move for a year and lets the dust settle, I don't know. Kind of tough to leave one team and then to just jump in and go somewhere else. The hot rumor is, and I don't even want to say it, but Harbaugh to Miami. That's what so if the owner thinks he had a wink deal all set up with Harbaugh, and that's why he removed Flores for Harbaugh. Well, listen, I like Jim. I like what he's done. If he was to come back, I was hoping he'd go to the Bears. I think that'd be a hell of a story. Ask Nick Saban, Mr. Harbaugh, Team Khaki, why don't you call up Nick and ask him how his days were in Miami? The fact that he didn't take Drew Brees, and we won't even get into that. But the point of the matter is some crazy stuff. Yeah, if Joe Judge comes back, there needs to be an investigation. He must have some kind of tapes or something that he's holding ransom and hostage and whatever. But crazy, crazy stuff. Zimmer gone, Nagy gone. We all knew that was happening. It's going to be crazy for the next few days. We'll wait for the dust settle. Today's sheet here. Let's just talk Georgia Bama for a second. And to my buddy, and our buddy, I should say, Billy Cullen, thoughts and prayers to the wife. I know she's a little under the weather right now. Tell her ECSI and her family says hello. I can send her down some clam chowder if she'd like. Maybe that will help her feel a little better if she's while she's under the weather. Talk Georgia Bama. SEC title game meant squadouche to Georgia, and it showed team total for Alabama that game was 23.5. Georgia hadn't allowed over 17. Bama puts up a 40 burger. Now, and they were favored 6.5, by the way, which got bet down a little. This game, the rematch, winner take all. Georgia opens up 1.5. It's been pushed all the way to 3. It's at 2.5 at DraftKings. 68% of the bets, 56% of the money all in on Bama, yet the line is still going up. We call that reverse line movement here. Heavier, sharper money coming in on Georgia. Bama's team total, after putting up a 40 burger, by the way, is 24.5. So I'll say this to everyone listening. Please take note. If you like Georgia today, I would take the points out of play. I would play the money line, 135, 140-ish. That's a couple points extra. But if they win by 1 or 2, you'll be kicking yourself. Secondly, if you like Georgia, I don't think they're going to win in the shootout. I think the defense shines. Therefore, play the under 24.5 in the Alabama team total. Thoughts, Scott?
Yeah. So looking at this game and trying to figure this game out, I find it interesting that Georgia comes in and they're ranked number 3 nationally and all that stuff, but they're the better football team. They were the better football team when they played the first time. They beat the shit out of Michigan, and which was the better opponent that these two teams had to play in the bowl games. And now they are facing Alabama again. And I went back and I did some look and some stuff on this game. I'm trying to pull it up right here in front of me. One of the things that's interesting with this matchup that happened the first time is that we ran into problems with Georgia in a sense of the turnovers cost them 12 points on the field. And you're not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to beat teams that are elite or that good with turnovers. They had sacks problems. They had offensive line issues. But when you start to break things down and kind of look at it, yards per play and all that stuff wasn't a super big advantage for Alabama. I mean, Georgia held in there with all of that stuff, the success rates, explosive plays, all that kind of stuff. Even in that game where they got beat, those numbers were pretty close. And that was if you got 41-24 and you had 12 points, now you got 41-36. And you got a competitive game, and who knows how it all kind of shakes out and what happens in that scenario. So what I find interesting here in that game, we had the disparity between Bryce Young and Stetson Bennett of how that kind of played out. EPA numbers wise, Bryce Young was phenomenal. Explosive rate, success rate, all the stuff that Bryce Young was able to do in that game and pick on the secondary for Georgia. So interesting that it kind of plays out to the point now where people remember that game, and what they forget is serious business. And what I mean by that is the wide receiver, John Mechie, is the wide receiver who's number 1 for Alabama. He's not going to play today. They have 2 scholarship running backs. That's it, 2. Everybody else is out. And I know you saw the kid that ran the ball for 300 yards or whatever against Cincinnati. That's not going to happen against Georgia. So then on the defensive side of the ball, they're missing their number 1 cornerback, Josh Jobe, and there's a likelihood that the other cornerback, Jalen Armar Davis, might not play either. So he's very questionable. And they got a linebacker problem. So this is not a healthy, fair fight, so to speak. And I think the adjustments that one coach makes versus another coach in these kind of games, and if you really think that Bryce Young is going to go out and look like he did the last time, and the secondary for the Georgia is going to look like they did the last time, and I think that the big thing here is going to be, Alabama was not pressured by the defensive line by Georgia at all. And I think that this time you're going to see a change in that. And if they can't get there, they're going to run some blitzes. So I think you're going to see a lot of variance and a lot of variety on what Georgia's doing in this game. And it's very questionable to me that this matchup is in any way, shape, or form a slated Alabama sure thing, because everybody sits there and goes, I want to take the points. I want to take the points. I sent you that thing on through email. I don't know if you saw it, but it's when I looked at pregame and they break down the numbers. It's interesting. So when the line is 2.5, you would have thought that Georgia's going to get all the money to cover that 2.5 number. Well, they got 51% of the money at 2.5, and 49% of the money is on Alabama. As soon now as the number switched to 3, 81% of the money's coming in on Alabama plus the 3. 81%. And I get it. I mean, it's a key number. But that tells me a whole boatload of stuff. And maybe I'm misreading things and maybe I'm looking at it a different way. I don't think the sportsbook would have put it at 3 if they didn't want it at 3 and they didn't want that money to come in on that side of the ball, which tells me, again, that in my opinion, my thoughts on this game is that I think it'll be a pretty competitive game. But I think that Georgia is the better football team. I think Georgia will play better tonight. I think Georgia will be one of those things. Hey, Colton saying hi to you there. But I think it's going to be one of those spots here where, in my opinion, I think this is going to be a Georgia show tonight. And I think it'll be competitive, but I think that Kirby Smart's going to have a smile on his face when this game's over. And like you said, if you want to take the money line, okay with it. I'm okay with the -3, to be honest.
My man Colton chomping at the bit. Colton at talking the line. The Windy City, Chicago, will be joining us on Thursday. The mid-major king chomping at the bit, and he's going to have a boatload of information and winners for us on Thursday. Colton, thank you so much. Riley, same to you. Look forward to getting you back here as well. So
Billy didn't like what I said.
Hey Billy, I got a new hashtag for tonight. It's called Scroll Tide. So instead of Roll Tide, LOL. So it's going to be a hell of a game. And again, here's the funny thing. If you watched the Bama-Cincinnati game, you saw them run the ball 85% of the time. They stretched the ball on occasion, stretched the field, I'm sorry. They knew exactly. It was Bill Belichickian because they knew exactly what they had to do and they weren't going to lose the game. Now you're going to see a Bryce Young, like in the first game in the SEC, step back and throw the ball a million times. And if he gets off and he gets hot, it's going to be a hell of a game. And listen, all the Georgia backers, be ready because there's going to be egg on our face if the clock strikes midnight here. And it's going to be who's your daddy? It's going to be Roll Tide. Kirby can't beat Nick. It's going to be all of that. And so, listen, I have said since Jump Street, in that SEC game, Georgia did not show their hand. Yeah, they wanted to keep you guys out of this tournament. Well, you know what? After the first quarter, you knew they were all done. Okay. So, hey, they played a little grab ass. They let you have your day. Okay. Now, it took Tua coming off the bench in overtime to hit Devontae Smith last time you played them in the championship game. I don't see Tua. I don't see Devontae Smith. And I know Meche is out. So, listen, I know you guys are used to this. And I'll be hearing it. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. And I'll just say this: Stetson will not have the game like he did against Michigan. He's going to need to play a lot better than he did in the SEC title game. They're going to have to establish that run a lot better. I think, honestly, Georgia needs to get out early. They need to establish themselves. I do not want to see Georgia down 10 or 13 early and then, start pressing because Georgia's defense is what we need to shine here, Scotty.
Yeah, well, I'm concerned a little bit here, only in a sense that these are two really good defenses, and they're both really good against the run. And to be honest, I don't think there's going to be any running game of any side of things on the other side. They're just going to have to mix it in a little bit. They're going to have to throw the little flat passes, the little tight end, over the middle type stuff, just to keep the defenses honest. And that's kind of going to be what the running game looks like. To me, this game is all about how the quarterbacks play, and it's going to be all about the pressure onto the quarterback on the other side. My thought is that you know how you're a boxer and you get in the ring and you hadn't faced the guy before and you don't really know, but you think you know, and then all of a sudden you get punched in the face and now you feel it. I think that's where Georgia's at, right? They didn't really know what to expect. I mean, they thought they did, and they thought they knew what to expect, and then they got punched in the face, and then they didn't like it. They got rocked a little bit, and then by the time they recovered to kind of get their show back on the road, the problem ended up being that it was too late. So I don't expect that to be the case in the rematch. I think the rematch is that they know how hard that Alabama hits. But I would also be willing to say on the other side of it, Alabama thinks they know what Alabama punches like, and I don't think they've seen their best punches yet. So I think in this game, and I'm sorry, Billy, but I mean, I think in this game, I think Georgia is the outright winner, and I think that Georgia is the right side to play here to cover the line too. It's just like what you said. I don't think you're going to see Stetson Bennett play as well as he did last week, but I don't think you're going to see him have the troubles and turmoils that he did against Alabama. I think you're going to see these the Georgia side of the ball make adjustments and actually show what they're trying to do tonight, which they didn't really do the time before. So I'm kind of excited to watch it. I think it'll be a special thing, and right off of a great NFL Sunday and having a great matchup tonight, I think will be great. As long as this is a competitive, fun football game, I think that I'm going to have a good time tonight.
There are other games on the board. I know I did, by the way, get you email and texts. I know you talked about, did a little NBA homework. There's a handful of college basketball games as well. None of the big schools playing in the college hoops. Billy, if you're still here, all of a sudden that Denver team that we talked about Saturday opened up 7-point dogs, now down to 4.5 at Circa. Maybe a league play is the problem. They were playing too good of schools out of conference, and now they are a team to be reckoned with here. NBA, nothing jumped on, really grabbed my eye. I'm just going to throw this out here for anyone listening. In the NHL, there is a game that did catch my eye. Our arch nemesis, again, like Maryland was last night. Maryland, by the way, Scotty, cost us a parlay of about plus 860. We had the Niners money line. We had the Raiders plus 3.5. And Maryland starts the game down 21, cuts it to 7 at half, takes a 3 and 4 point lead into the second half and loses by 1. So that cost us a nice parlay for the day. And as we speak, William and Mary and College of Charleston has been canceled. But hockey, Washington Capitals, who's your daddy? I tell you, every time we go against them, Ovi has at least 2 goals. Oshie's got 3 assists. But some strong reverse line movement on the Bruins, who just coming off a huge win in Tampa. 62% of the bets, 56% of the money are on Washington. They opened up -20, now -107. So reverse line movement coming in on the Bruins, who are heating up. Tuukka Rask will be back in a couple weeks. And so keep an eye on the Bruins tonight. The Rockies up -400, no thanks. And the public is playing the Rangers at the Kings, who beat the Red Wings last night in a shootout. So what do you see in NBA, Scott? Anything good?
Yeah, well, it's a small card in the NBA today. I mean, and some of these matchups are, not the best. But one of the games that kind of stood out to me was Cleveland tonight. They're playing in Sacramento. Both of these teams, this is their 3rd game in 4 days. And then when you look at it, there's a couple of things here that stood out. One, the Cleveland Cavaliers are a really good road team. I mean, they have been one of the better road teams in the NBA. And then secondly, and I don't know what people use and how they look stuff up and what data points that they have and different things, but there's a website that's called NBAstuffer.com. And if you're not on it and you're not looking at it, you need to be. And in looking at this website and looking at the different numbers and things that I have here, one of the things that stood out was in this scenario where it is game 3 out of 4, and it's the back of a back-to-back. Cleveland has played in this scenario 7 times, and their efficiency differential is -1. Okay, well, minus is not good at any time, but that means they're going to play more to the average that they normally play to. But Sacramento has played in this spot 5 times, and in those 5 times, they are -10 in reference to efficiency differential. So efficiency differential just means that how many points per game do you score versus how many points did you allow, and then they break it down to possessions and that kind of stuff. So it's not quite like you would think it's a score, but it's pretty close. But anyway, that means they're going to be 10 points worse tonight in that environment than what it is going to be for Cleveland. So I'll take Cleveland here. I know they're minus, I think they're -5 now or something like that. And they were opened, I think, at -4.5 or something. So I'm okay with that number. I wouldn't want to go higher. I wouldn't want to go higher than -6. So don't take them higher than -6. But I'm gonna go with the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight on the road as a small favorite.
All right. I think tomorrow we will bless our audience. Obviously, with the recap of the national championship game, we will have a bigger board in the NBA. I will try to pluck out a couple college games that catch our eye. We can start to give the viewers some previews of the up and coming games. I was wrong. It's 2 games on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and 1 on Monday, which I think the Monday game is kind of cute. I kind of like that. The fact that, they're keeping their Saturday, Sunday, Monday, at least for 1 more week. And we'll see where the lines have moved, where they're going. Maybe grab a couple future looks. Again, if you like, I'll throw this one out here also. And to all the listeners, listen, guys, do us a quick little favor here before we get to the cherry on top. Run on over to YouTube, East Coast Sports Investors. Subscribe. It's for free. Turn on the notifications. And while you're over there, take 2 seconds and go to Twitch, East Coast Sports Investors, and do the same. Listen, if you are not on Twitch, get on Twitch. I'm telling you, that's where everything is going. And there could be some big stuff growing for East Coast Sports Investors, live streaming, live in-game talks. coming real soon. So get over there and get on board. Um, but where I said the Packers by default, if you like the Packers, you can get them plus 350 right now, 375 to win the Super Bowl. If you think the Packers are going to get to the championship game, you have an out there. It doesn't matter who comes in, the opponent will be dogs. So you'll be getting plus on the other side. In the AFC, I think it's more of a crapshoot. No one believes in the Titans. You're getting some great money on the Titans to win the AFC, never mind the Super Bowl. Obviously, O. Henry is the wild card there. The Chiefs are the favorite. The Bills are hanging around. I keep leaning towards the Bills for some reason. I don't know why. Their running game has gotten better. Their defense is good, and Allen has been not good the last 2 weeks. Maybe he turns it around in the playoffs. Closing thoughts, Scott.
Well, I'm hoping to watch a pretty good football game tonight. I'm hoping to have a good week, and I'm hoping to have a fun-filled playoff schedule this weekend. What is there? There's 6 games, right? So that's some pretty good study to have to get involved in and trying to get that stuff worked out. At the same time, this week there's supposed to be a proposal made from the major league owners to the major league players, which means the talks are going to start. So I'm happy to see that, and I think that over the course of that, that's the beginning process. They can't talk without some kind of offer. So here comes an offer this week, and I think that that they can start negotiating, and that will be good news and a blessing to my ears, other than hearing them squabble and complain and bitch about each other.
30 seconds. In or out on the universal DH? My quick 2 seconds is the fact that it opens up 16. How many teams in the National League? 16?
There's 32 teams, so it's 16.
It opens up 16 more jobs. It opens up guys in the American League who are just basically DHs like JD Martinez and some others, an opportunity to go over to the National League other than limping into the outfield and looking like a buffoon or trying to play first base. I think one of the sides was for this, one of the sides was against this. Quick 30 seconds on that, Scott.
I think it's going to be a given. I don't, and I think it's more related to health than anything else. Than at this point, I think there's been enough pitchers that got hurt running the bases and stepping on first base and twisting an ankle, or swinging and hurting a rib cage or whatever. That's not what they're paying those guys to do. And to be honest, everybody wants to talk about the strategy of the game. The game has evolved past the strategy of the bunt and all that stuff from what pitchers do. So when a pitcher bats, it's not, it's ridiculous. So anyway, that being said, I think that you're going to see the universal DH, and I think that's not. I think they were using that in that 60-game season, and they were using that a little bit last year and doing some different things, and said, to hell with it. We're just going to keep it the way it is. We're not going to negotiate it now. We'll just negotiate it into the CBA. And I think you'll see that the National League will go to a all DH, and I think that's what you're going to end up with.
Don't get me wrong. Nothing wrong with a Kershaw bomb or a Mad bomb.
Well, it's fun to see a pitcher hit a home run. Don't get me wrong. But I don't want to see them guys up there swinging like goofballs. I mean, I guarantee you I could go up there and still have a better swing than what they do.
And the sad part about it is, again, they're 99% of the time up there to bunt, to move a guy over. And the important part about that is some of the guys try to get cute and have them bat in the 8th spot and yada, yada, yada. But the fact of the matter is, if you can move the guy over, get to the top of the order, at least you're flipping it one more time. Nothing worse than the number 8 guy making the final out, and the pitcher has to lead off the next inning. He pitches the inning. Now the manager has to say, okay, is it time to pull him, or, forfeit the out basically to try to get another inning out of him. But that's part of the strategy. We have all winter to talk about it. I'm excited. Again, I'm shooting for to be in Vegas I was going to say March 22nd. I might have to fly in sooner. One of our fan favorites, Andrew McGinnis, will be potentially in Vegas 17th through the 21st. So I'd hate to come in on the 22nd. He'd be in Vegas there. So we're going to be there the last 2 weeks of March and the start of April for March Madness, and hopefully the start of baseball. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB. Come follow us. We'll follow you back. A lot of good stuff coming here. It's a new day, new week, new beginning. So let's start in the winner's circle. Go Dogs. Billy, roll tide, baby, roll tide. So if you are wagering tonight, always wager with your head, not your heart. If you have a problem, pick up that phone. Ask for help. There is an 800 number available. Why? Because we care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, all through 22 and 23 and beyond. Have a blessed day. Always invest responsibly. Myself and Scott will see you bright and early tomorrow morning.